Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Temple of Possibilities. I am Minister William, or Reverend Will if you wish, leading today's sermon of November 23rd, 2025. And as always, we'll start with a moment of silence for prayer, meditation, or what have you. All right, thank you. Today's sermon is called The Universe of Gifts, and it was written by J.D. Stillwaller and put on Euclidean Universalist Association website on November 19th, 2025. Evolution has led us to understand that a world built on love is our antidote to fear and selfishness. A world infused with community is our antidote to isolation. A world colored with beauty and justice is our antidote to a hard boot of oppression. Let us each stand for the world in our unique brilliance and creativity. Stephen Dyden, foreword to Barbara Marx Hubbard's Birth 2012 and beyond. I often speak in local retirement communities as part of a science administrator mission. Recently, a man I'll call Gary shuffled into the room, pushing a walker, parking himself with a grunt in the front row. My spouse chatted with him while I set up. I caught a few bits. Farming, truck driving. I was a little too busy or tired old man oh, oh. I was too busy for tired old man stories. I began my talk, reminding all to silence their phones. About halfway through my talk, Gary's cell phone rang. To my annoyance, he answered it. Then he began a slow, painful slog across the front of the room. Very disruptive, but what could I do? No big deal. 2 hours later, and miles away, my phone rang. Gary, with one of my business cards, he apologized profusely for his extraordinary rudeness during the talk. I said it was no big deal. Honestly, I was in brush-off mode. Just an old codger with issues, right? Until he explained. Gary knew when he entered the room that he'd have to skip the Q&A because he had a Zoom meeting right afterwards. The disruptive call during my talk was the Secretary of Agriculture telling Gary that the international Zoom call had started an hour earlier than Gary thought, and he was needed. Gary explained that the call was involved a higher government the government Gary explained that the call involved high-level government officials from France, Germany, Australia, I don't remember them all, and that they were concerned about recent disruptions to global agricultural trade. They needed Gary's perspective. Gary and I talked a long time and a wonderful and welcome conversation about politics, science, global cooperation, and the good or ill that will be affected by a single person in high office. Gary repeatedly apologized for interrupting my talk. I was humbled by his grace and reflected for days on my dismissive attitude toward him initially. I never asked him whether it was the Pennsylvania or U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, and it doesn't matter. Gary was my well-timed reminder that whether they walk, shuffle, or wheel themselves into my life, every person I interact with matters. The worth of people isn't related to their age, ability, or living situation, whether it's a mansion, a cardboard box, or a retirement community somewhere in Pennsylvania. Appearances can hide a whole universe of gifts and responsibilities. They almost always do. Prayer. Spirit of inclusion and admiration, give me the grace and awareness to thoughtfully set aside the limiting assumptions of first impressions. Let me practice patience, concern for every person I meet as a sacred child of the divine, because they are. People are much more than we think of them at first glance. Too many people these days are dismissive about others that they don't know or they just don't wish to know. But once you get to know them, everything can change. For you, for them, sometimes for the better, mostly for the better. Try not to brush people off when first meeting them. Get to know them, find out their goods, their ills, and see for yourself if they're good or bad. But just don't let first impressions dictate how you feel about somebody. Don't just brush them off. You can't find out if someone's good or bad until you get to know them. But remember, when we all come together, possibilities are endless. And I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. I hope you all have things that you are thankful for. I'll see you next week. Bye.